it from him.
Okay.
That's all right, I'm all set.
We're not getting out early tonight, huh?
Until I tell you stuff from Monday night, Carl.
I mean, there's more?
Got worse after you left.
I shouldn't have left them. Why'd you let me walk out? You didn't get me?
I didn't expect this. I was blindsided.
Let's make everybody wait till the very.
Okay, I guess we're ready. Are we all set, Julie? Okay, so, move to open the meeting of the Groveland Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 15, 2016, at 7:03 PM.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we have a full agenda this evening, so we're gonna try to take care of a few simple things, and then we do have three hearings, and those won't be until after 7:30, so we'll see what we can get done between now and 7:30, and so we aren't gonna necessarily go in the order that's on what you have. So, let's see, so first thing, someone's here for a tree cutting. Yep,
I get the house over 3 Baldwin Terrace, there's a tree that's been uprooted, and there's a small stream that runs next to it, the tree company won't touch it, but you're okay. It's already sitting at about a 40-degree angle, top of it's already come off. I just need the rest of it removed.
and how close is it to the stream?
Probably within 10 feet.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Are they gonna use equipment to get it down?
They're doing it all by hand. It's already, most of it's
Mostly
down.
down.
There's probably, my guess would be 15 to 18 feet of it left. The top part already came off and went in my yard, and I cleaned that up. So this is just what's left, hanging over my shed. I'd like to get rid of it before it gets rid of my shed.
Right. Are they gonna plan to take the stump away, or?
I think he's just gonna leave it. He's just taking the bulk of it, whatever's left out.
Right.
So, you know, it typically would be a GRDA. I can do it under an emergency order if you want.
Would you like the letter? Like an
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you have to file for the GRDA.
I think if it's hanging, if it was that bad that it fell over, is it, you're saying the storm took it down?
Yes, it was last year. We had a bad storm last year. Like I
Oh.
said, it came down, the top part just snapped in my yard, and the rest of it's just kinda sitting there.
Okay. So it's been like that for how long?
Since last fall.
Oh, all right. Why don't I give you my phone number and call me, and I'll come out and take a look at it, and then we'll just decide the best way to go about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just call you tomorrow?
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
okay. Let's see, what else here? All right, one other quick thing we're gonna do is, Mr. Klaus Nitzer is here from 86 Washington Street, and we approved a tree being cut on his property within the buffer zone, and he would like to have the stump ground to 4 inches below grade, where our typical standard is 4 inches above the grade. So he just wants to ask if it can be changed. So,
Mike summed it up. For those
those of you who aren't familiar with the property, I took 3 pictures, Mike asked for 1, but sorry. The pictures show that the slope of the land is away from the pond, which is 94 feet, I believe. Behind the tree, the land slopes to the front and to the side, away from the pond. My concern with the tree is it's a trip hazard. I'm afraid if I get out there and start playing with the grandchildren, somebody's gonna get hurt tripping over that tree. And I would just like to have it removed low grade, so I can put dirt over it, reseed it, and make it look like bottom of lawn. There's a well in the picture. That well goes down about 17 feet. Right now, there's no water in the well. The pond behind me is very low right now. So I don't think I'm interfering with any water tables. I had my leaching field put in. It's down in that area, we hit nothing but sand, so I don't think we're gonna be interfering with any drainage into the pond, any water tables or anything like that. The water level is probably 8 feet below where that stump is. My land's up on a hill and it slopes down into the pond, which one of those pictures should show.
What do you think?
Do you know the equipment they're using? Is it on a, is it like a person walks behind and brings the grinder up, or is it on a trailer?
No, it's a self-contained grinder, so it powerizes itself. It's Valley Tree that I contracted to do the work.
So essentially, that's the only thing that's driving on the lawn? There's no
Oh, absolutely.
truck or anything like that?
No equipment. The tree was removed. If you looked at the pictures, you can't even tell. There's no disturbance of the soil or anything. We did with the crane, everything was lifted up into the driveway. Piece of equipment they're using self-contained, it's not that heavy. They're gonna unload it on the street. The guys are gonna walk, behind it to the stump.
Right.
Grind it, and that'll be the end of it.
What's your pleasure on this one?
It's okay to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
I
lot
have no
of grass.
objection.
It's well, well protected.
Yep.
It's not- there's any
Heather
concern.
looked at it.
Yeah, it
She was
far
out
enough
there.
away from, I think it was 84 feet.
84.
Yeah.
I said 94.
I had a tape measure, so you can check it
I'll
out.
move to allow it.
I second that.
I will need either a letter or something sent to Valley Tree so that they know that we have permission to remove that stump.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay. So I'll get your letter.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Let's see. All right, we're going to talk about the Lower Center Street update very briefly, and then I wanted to open it up to collect some input from some of the residents regarding the whole area down there, in some particulars. But I think we have scheduled a hearing for our next meeting, which is July 13th. So tonight, we're just going to listen to briefly statements from people on what they've seen down there, what their concerns are. And then we'll, take this into consideration next meeting. So just as an update, the Highway Department is bringing in a couple of more boulders to put along the shoulder, expecting that in the next week or so. And then the Haverhill Highway is going to put them in place. So the boulders have been very good at preventing illegal parking down there. So in meeting with Haverhill, they thought that was a good idea to do, and also Groveland Highway thought it was a good idea. So that's gonna happen. Today, there was some plantings done over the weekend to replace some of the plantings that were done last year for some plants that didn't make it. So that's good. Those are in place by the old boat launch and across from that, so that's good. And then I'm recommending that we remove the 2 trash barrels from the parking area and the picnic area, because they seem to be attracting more trash, and they're not getting emptied regularly enough, so I'm recommending that we remove those. But we can talk a little bit about this later on, because I want to make sure we have time for the public comment before we move into the hearings. So, so we'll have comment from anyone, and if you're gonna make a comment, I ask that you go up to the podium, state your name and address clearly, so our secretary can make sure she knows who you are, and then try to keep your comments as brief as possible, because I suspect, we have a lot of people that want to speak, and I don't think we can afford more than about a half an hour or so.
Before we go into that.
Yep.
I have one more update.
Sure.
So at our last meeting, we discussed, because we had postponed, we had taken a vote to postpone making the change that we said that we had voted for before, based upon if we were
Yeah,
gonna get
before
new
we had that
information.
hearing, right?
That's right. And one of the actions, I took the action to try to reach out to the fire chief to get clarity on the exact position, so that he would have a more informed decision. We did exchange multiple conversations and emails with the fire chief, and I believe the fire chief he's been talking to us, and has been coming up with and working on getting us that clarification.
Okay. Any other items regarding this? Okay. All right, so we're ready to take some brief public comments.
I'll go first.
Sure.
Do you want to see some more pictures? Hi, Nancy Amadio, 22 Center Street. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Nancy Amadio, A-M-I-D-I-O, 22 Center Street. And I'm going to quickly touch base on 2 things that Mr. Dempsey just said in regards to illegal parking. Last Monday, June 9th, the place was packed, and there was a car and a trailer that was parked past where the rest of the cars normally park, right in front of a no parking sign and along the no parking on the side of the road. Cop went down, I saw the cop stop, look, kept going. Cop turned around, he came back, we were talking, I asked him about why he didn't give him a ticket, and he's like, the parking lot was full. So there's still illegal parking going on down there. As far as the trash goes, please take it away. I have seen numerous people drive by, stop, throw their trash in there, and continue on. They're not even down there. May 21st was the beginning of summer. There was lots of trash down there. Those are some of the pictures there. Memorial Day weekend, I went away. There was more trash that was down there. I came home to twisted tea cans thrown up on my front lawn. I'm concerned about the drinking that's going on down there. Whether these are, I have observed older adults of legal drinking age, and I've also seen younger kids down there. They get in their cars, they drive away. It's a safety issue, plain and simple. My husband and I bought an RV, so I'm not going to be around much on weekends, and it concerns me of what's gonna happen to my house while I'm gone. It's a very remote area. Even the cops said that it was a remote area down there, and they are doing a great job, but it's not enough. You know, some days you go down, the place is spotless. Other days you go down, and there's just trash everywhere. Fires. There was a 4 kayaks. It was very bizarre. I called the cops on it because I saw 4 kayaks being taken across the lake by one person. That one person brought the kayaks over to what I call the second point, and I don't know if they were stolen. I don't know if they were brought from somewhere. I have no idea. But the cops were great. They checked it out, and within a half hour, those kayaks were out across on the island that's in Boxford. 10 minutes later, there's a huge fire out there. I called the cops again on that because he said, call them if you see it, so I did. It took over a half hour for Boxford to respond because they're volunteer like we are. You can't get to this location because there is no road going in. The only way that you can get is by boat. I don't know what the cost of having a fire truck come out, but it was out and it sat down in this area that we're talking about for over an hour. I don't know what they were doing, but the fire, by the time the cops got there, the fire had been put out. So it was a big campfire, you know, one of these big, you know, throw gasoline on it and go up.
That
So-
was in Boxford?
It was in Boxford, yeah, because it's on that island that's out there, and that's Boxford. So Boxford has to respond to that. Anything else?
When you see something and you call do you call
No,
the police every
no,
time, or-
I don't, because, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things I try to overlook. I've said before, I'm not that person who constantly calls every time, you know, somebody drops a hat. But there've been people down there swimming already. And I know, sadly, you mentioned July 13th before a hearing. School's out this week. I can't tell you, I can't imagine what this place is gonna be like. You know, because last summer we went through, you know, people down there swimming, and it's not Groveland residents. You know, we've got people from New Hampshire license plates are there, and they abuse the place. They don't take care of it.
Do you know when you've called the police about the parking, so the last instance, they said the parking lot was full and that was.
Right, they
where
told me
it
that the
is.
parking lot was full.
But other times, have you called them, have they made the people move the cars?
No.
Or do they?
I've never seen them have anybody move cars. Doesn't mean that they haven't, but I've never seen it,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Anybody else? We can end our public comment then? Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Pappas, 34 Center Street. Personally, I was never really in favor of this project from the beginning, even though I found out about it later on after it actually was in progress. But I think that one of the issues is that there's a lot of emotion behind this. You know, because it was a Eagle Scout project, you know, everybody was supportive of the project, and I have no problem with that. But I think that the issue is it's not about the neighbors or against the Boy Scouts, or, you know, there's no, it's not personal, and this is my opinion, but the project's, it's just taking this small patch of woods and trying to make a recreational area out of it. I just think it's a bad idea. It's not really working. And in my experience, the people that are using the area, I would venture to say they're not Groveland residents. I've seen large crowds down there from time to time. I don't know, you know, I don't have any documentation, but I really think that there are people, they're not from Groveland. There are people coming from other towns using this place, and they obviously don't respect or have no concern about this, you know, the area itself, evidenced by the way that the condition they leave it in, all the trash and the debris. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not so much about, you know, it's not a criticism of the project, you know, and of course, people, you know, the people that were in support of it, the Eagle Scout, the family, they take offense, I think, from it being challenged, but it really has nothing to do with the Boy Scouts or anyone else, in my opinion. I just think it's a kind of an ill-conceived project. It's just not working. And I think that it should be, beneficial to the residents of the town. It should be in the best interest of the people that live there, the people in Groveland. The decisions that you make should be based on what's in the best interest of the community, and not really, a personal project or anything else. It's just, and I think because of the way it's being used, it's environmentally, as a Conservation Commission, I'm sure, you'd be concerned about that, because it's a small piece of land. It easily gets degraded, because there are a lot of people down there tromping around. So, as far as the grills, I think that's, just one more layer of a problem. But really, I would personally like to see the area just go back to being passive woods, so that's my comment.
Okay, thank you.
Kathy Sample, 40 Center Street. This area has always been used, since we've been in town, it's always been used as a spot for fishermen and for drinking or parking or whatever. When we did the project, it is my son's project, when we did the project, the dumping and the trash and the stuff that was down there without trash barrels or anything was unbelievable, the stuff we pulled out of there. It is so much cleaner since we've done it. And the trash men do pick up those barrels every Tuesday. I drive by there 3 and 4 times a day, and it is nothing compared to what it was before the project was done. And from the very beginning of this whole mess, it's all we keep asking is, what is the reason? What changed in 7 years that brought this up? Nobody can give us an honest reason of why the grills were taken out originally. What prompted it? What prompted it was my other son's project, but I'm not going to get into that right now. And I just think you're not going to stop people from going down there. It's been there for years before the project was even done. I mean, the cars were always parked there. And then it was after we did it and they paved it, that's when the bus drivers thought it was great, because it was finally taken care of, that they could back in there. If you could give us a good reason why it was done, then this would be put to bed, but nobody can give us a good reason.
Thank you.
Stan Sample, 40 Center Street. Again, my wife said, we have asked and asked and asked about what has changed. I passed out a letter of Mike's thing, how he said this whole project fell into what conservation is doing and everything. Not one response of why. Very aggravating when you're not doing your job and letting us know. As far as,
Let's not
as
have any,
far as,
let
I've
Mr.
got the
Sample.
floor, Mike, I have the floor.
Listen,
I have
Mr.
the
Sample,
floor.
Mr.
I
Sample,
have the floor.
I will give you the
I
floor
have
back.
the
I want to
floor.
tell you what the rule is. No one is to be attacked here. You tell us facts and figures about your opinion about the place. We don't need to get into any personal attacks against myself, board members, or anybody else, or you will not have the floor. Go ahead.
I asked for answers. And if you go back to all the records that we've talked about this, Mike himself has said, since it went in there, how much cleaner it is, trash, more respect, and it has. And as far as being a remote area, yes, it is. And that's one of the things with the project. You have people down there. You have eyes that's going to see what's going on. It stopped a lot of the illegal fires down there. Case in point, and I brought this up, back in 2014, there was 3 reports from the fire department of unattended fires down there. 2015, 0 calls. Because you have eyes down there watching the project, watching the area. People are down there enjoying it. Is there excess trash? Of course there is. When you have people that gather, it's gonna be trash. And those barrels have helped. It's just a matter of reminding the trash people, if they don't do it, to come down and pick it up. You're in the summertime, it's gonna be more trash down there, more people using it.
Mr. Sample, I have a question. Did you see the bonfire that was over on Boxford?
No, I did not.
Okay, I'm just curious.
No, I
if you
did
had-
not. That's a common spot because it is real isolated. It's got nothing to do with where we are.
No, I get that. I just wanted to know if you had a chance to report it, if you saw activity of that sort.
No, I did not see it. But that area is very common since I've moved into town, of that area fires. Because it is a remote area, and it's hard to get into.
Have you
I got a
se-
friend that's on the Boxford Fire Department. He hates that area because they can't get into it.
Have you seen other people abusing this area specifically?
The area here?
Yes.
No. If they're doing something they're not supposed to, I stop, I talk to them, and educate them, and they correct it. There's one guy trying to launch a big boat down there. I talked to him, explained to him that it's car top, you carry it in. He said, I didn't realize that. The Mass Wildlife says there's a boat launch here. And then I told him it's on the other side, but it's car top also. It's not for big boats. Anytime you talk to people, I found being very receptive when you talk to them, if they're doing something wrong.
I just figure
Education.
obviously you have a very different opinion of some of the other people on the other side, and it seems like 2 different stories almost, I find interesting.
I mean, it's down there, we should be using it. And if you look at, when the land goes into conservation, it states that you don't restrict the use of it. You leave it the way it is. You encourage people to go down there. It should be used. Not abused, used. And as far as the parking goes, the police should be stopping them. There's signs. They posted them, no parking.
Have you ever called the police on the parking up and down the street, or talked to the police about that, or?
No, I haven't. I've never had a real problem with it. Sometimes there are a few extra cars down there, but it's the time. It's the time when there is excess people down there, and it's gonna happen. You're gonna have that no matter where you are. Look at your highways going north on the holiday weekends. It's gonna happen. And you gotta educate people on it. By restricting and saying, no, we can't use it, why have conservation land? To sit there and look at? It should be able to be used. I personally think that's what this conservation land is for. I think it's great. I think we need more of it. But if you put that out there and put a big sign, do not enter, do not use, why have the land? You should be enjoying it. And as far as the 2 tables, I mean, when my son did the project, he had the 2 picnic tables. That way you have 2 families down there. One was handicapped, and one's a regular table. It makes it accessible for everybody. And projects should be used. And it's conservation, when you come to a project like that, you're gonna do change, let people know about it. People shouldn't be broadsided with these things. They should be brought up and people talk about it. But I'd like to see you put it back according to one of the laws that was brought up in the first meeting here at then when we brought it before the Board of Selectmen, it states you're not supposed to be changing things. when, there's one of the laws that come in when things went under conservation. I don't know what it is, but it states it's supposed to stay the same. You're not supposed to restrict access. And when you change, when you pull out the picnic table, you pull out the grills, that's restricting access. It's not directly saying you can't come on the property, but you're restricting the use of the property that's already existing. It should be put back the way it was.
Okay, thank you.
Don Granny. I know, I was on the Board of Selectmen when the Boy Scout project came forward. The first project, I believe there was a lot of neighbor support, you know. The second project, I believe, opened a lot of people's eyes up as to, and I was not on the board, I don't think, when that one was finished, if I remember correctly. But my understanding is, and if you weren't made aware of it, the fire department found that there were some rules that they couldn't have fireplace or grill type of things on public property. Again, Mike can answer this, I don't believe there's a conservation restriction on that piece of property, and I think that's what you were talking about just then. If there's a conservation restriction, there's set guidelines as to how the property can be used and how it can't be used. So, you know, those types of things maybe weren't properly known. But at the same time, I think, you know, it was a nice place to go. I've gone kayaking out of there a few times. I mean, Park Cross Street, bring the kayaks in. But as far as the people that are using it, you know, the neighbors are probably right. 90% of the cars you see are New Hampshire plates, out-of-town plates. And where no CPA money was used, we probably can restrict that. You know, it's town property, there can be town residents only. Up the street, there was issues with one of the neighbors. They wanted the whole street blocked off so that no one could park on the sides. We had to put logs, we had to put rocks, we had to put signs. There were, what, 30, 40 signs out there at one point? No parking? Looked ridiculous. You know, so if it's just used for launching boats or, you know, for public residents to use, I would imagine that that would be an okay use. But the fireplaces, I think, had to come out because of wildlife fire things. Or, you know, I know new codes were picked up on. Maybe the former fire chief wasn't looking at those types of things, but, you know, the new group, these guys are really doing a great job. They're looking at all the different things that can help the town, and at the same time, it might hurt a project like that. And I don't think that was anyone's plan, to hurt the project, because your son's nice kids, and they did a great job out there. So, hopefully, a resolution can come that the property can be used for something, but at the same time, I mean, it's hard to have an Eagle Scout project like that done. I mean, I've helped a lot of them down by the river's edge. Some kids did a project where they put some benches down there, and then we had flood waters, and they got washed into the water. I mean, it's just too bad to see them go away once they're done. But I don't know what the restrictions are that you have to carry, but I'm sure that's what has to be done.
You know, when you were on the Board of Selectmen and you had an issue with the police in the sense of, like, I look at this and I hear the police came and did nothing, yet we have all these signs, and they're apparently not enforcing it.
I think I can answer that. Initially, the police couldn't do much because it wasn't, the signs weren't out there, so it wasn't marked. They did everything they could to, you know, make the doctor happy over there, but, you know, no matter what we were doing, we couldn't seem to do that.
I guess my question is, and I'm not a public safety expert, but if we have no parking signs because the way the road, it's a little narrow and it gets curvy and whatnot, and I look at it as a public safety issue, and then the police are called and they see the cars double parked, maybe it was just that one officer, or, you know, I don't know, but I'm curious if some of this can be resolved by if the police enforce the no parking on the street, therefore there's fewer people, and some of this sort of gets resolved a little bit on its own.
Or maybe the signs need to be no parking, residents use only.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, that may fix some of it. Yeah, I don't know, but the police did go out there quite often, but it got to the point where they were getting called every 20 minutes. by one of the neighbors down there, and it got to the point where it was a nuisance. You know, for somebody that lives in Haverhill, that owns a piece of property that's about 8 feet wide, touching Groveland, you know, it was kind of bad. So it was hard for them to enforce everything, because at some points, you know, maybe the calls were legitimate, and other times, they'd get out there and there'd be really nothing to deal with. It's just if they were driving home, they saw cars there, they called the police. So, but they did what they could. I mean, I know they reported back to us several times that, you know, they were going out there regularly. The neighbors might even know, you know, because they probably could tell if they were coming through all the time. But they do go out there. I mean, I know they do. I just, as far as what all the problems are, I'm not sure. I got here late, so I'm sorry. But was there any other question you had, or?
No, I'm just trying to, you know, before we do any more rules, can we enforce the rules we have to see where that gets us where we're trying to go?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, the kids did a really nice job out there. I mean, I don't know if you got out there when it first was done. The trails were all lined with those sticks, and they had the mulch and everything else. I mean, it came out nice at the beginning. It's just too bad that the laws don't allow the fireplaces, and that kind of takes one of the uses away, I would think. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So do we have does the board have any other questions? We will, again, address this in July and make that hopefully a decision point in July, so, and we'll probably have some time to collect some new input, if there is any new input. All right, yeah.
One last thing, so
Sure.
I know that we have the new information from the fire chief, which is some new information, so that's certainly going to help.
Yeah.
Any chance the fire chief is going to come to that meeting?
We can ask him to, if you want to. I can ask him to.
Yep. I do.
Okay.
And I guess one other thing, given the new information from the fire chief, I'm thinking that we ought to go down and take a look at the place again before the next meeting.
Yep.
And the reason for that is given the new information from the fire chief, we need to understand applicability of what that means.
Do you want to have a
Okay.
party down there on Friday?
All right, so we'll schedule that before the end of this meeting, because I've got a couple other things that we need to do, so we'll see how we can fit that in on a Saturday or something. Okay, all right. All right, so we'll move on then. I think we've got to move on to our hearings. So, let's see, we have Seven Star Road, single-family home hearing, 2 Ashcroft Circle hearing, and a hearing on Mill Street Extension. So, let's see, who's here?
Thank you for coming, by the way.
You were here first, right? Art? Yeah, all right. But I don't see Mr. Arkalian in the audience. Carl, you want to run out and just tell him, I think he's in his office. We'll do that one first. Oh, here he is. Bob, we just went looking for you. Yeah, we're gonna do this one. No, we're gonna do this one first.
What's that?
Yeah,
So, here is just a piece of a plan on Mill Street. Small section.
For sure.
Thank you.
No, I got another one if you want.
That's all right.
That's okay.
And then I sent you a
emergency
draft
order, yep.
of the emergency. And I have the butters listing up to date here.
Yep.
But what I was thinking of doing is, if we can sleeve the pipe, the existing pipe, and then there's no problem. But if it doesn't work, because it's been deteriorating the
Yep.
last
Yep.
few years, and especially in the last 6 months, 6 weeks, I mean. If I can't sleeve it, then we're gonna have to do a dig to replace it. So that would change the notice of intent.
Yeah. Okay, so let's step back for a minute. So I'm not sure all the members are familiar with the site. Heather, you've been out there because you visited Mr. Klausnitz's backyard,
okay.
which is right next to that. So there, this is Mill Street Pond and Mill Street Extension. It's over there off of Center Street in South Groveland. It has 2 exits from the pond. Both are blocked off with beaver dams, a lot of beaver activity in there. And there's, one of the exits is a large culvert, and it goes under the road. And so what Bob Arakalian is saying is that the road is being compromised by the culvert, and what he wants to do is, under an emergency order, put a new pipe inside the old one, and he believes that will take care of the road problem. And so I asked him to come forward tonight with an emergency order filing, because that's what he wanted to do, and justify if it's an emergency or not, and also come forward with a notice of intent filing or plans for doing his notice of intent filing, so we can address that right away. So that's kind of where we're at. So, Bob, just tell us a little bit more about why you think it's an emergency.
Well, as recently as June 8th, we were in the pipe. We went in the pipe. It's a 54-inch to 60-inch steel pipe. It's an old mill pipe, probably it's, I don't know, 100 years old. And it's, so we did a physical view last week, and the edge of the road's caving in, and we were wondering why the edge of the road is caving in. Well, the top of the pipe is, there's no top in some sections of the pipe. So I think that, like, the hot top is holding the road up. It's like a bridge.
Yeah.
So I want to get in and sleeve it before it goes too far. Then I can't sleeve it because it'll get egg-shaped.
Yeah.
And then we won't be able to sleeve it, so it would be, we'd have to tear the pipe out of the road. And there's no, it's a dead-end street, so there's no access coming in from the other side.
So if the road were to collapse,
Yeah.
we would be in trouble.
So, how big are when you go to sleeve it, I'm assuming that you put in sections of how
Yeah,
long?
the 8-foot section.
8-foot sections. And you gotta do that from a crane up above, kinda sling it down?
Yeah. There won't be any digging involved, it's just they sleeve it. They
Doesn't-
run the one pipe in, and then put the next pipe down and hook it into the existing pipe, that's not the existing, but the pipe that we put in first, and just keep doing that, so we can get across the road. Back in,
So are you gonna it looks, based on the map here, you're not gonna sleeve the entire length, just what's underneath the road?
just what's under the road. Back in '97, we had a 100-year flood, and it blew out the section further down. I think, I don't know how long that was. That was probably a 60-foot section. Took that right out. So we put this concrete further down. We fixed that through a FEMA emergency grant. And that was in '97, I believe. So this would be, I just would like to do this would be a clean fix. Now, if it's too late, then we'd have to do a full notice of intent. And I'd have to probably get some heavy plates in to plate the road for now.
So I'm still trying to understand the impact. So, sounds good, you don't have to dig anything, sling the pipes down, put it in. I'm assuming you have to get rid of the water, though?
No,
None?
there's a beaver
So the beaver
dam,
dam is clean, is
very
basically
strong
made it all
beaver dam.
satisfied.
See, originally, we were gonna put 2 dams in, but the water table would be too high because there's so much silt in the existing pond. This is another problem that is gonna get addressed eventually, maybe dredging and bringing back that pond, but that's down the road.
Yeah.
Um,
And so just again, for the board, if you remember, we had a filing on this back in
3, 4 years.
2012, I think.
Yeah, it's like 3, 4 years ago.
Right, and we had planned to replace this pipe then and also address with a flow control at the other end of the pond so that the flow could be controlled. But DEP overruled us and said that it couldn't be done that way. So, you know, it's been addressed before. The beavers, the beaver dam that's at the other end has water flowing over parts of the top of it, so most of the water goes out there. The beaver dam on this culvert is almost no water going through it at all. It's like a perfect place to do this kind of job because you don't have any problem with, you know, the water and how you're gonna get rid of it or stop it. No temporary dam would be necessary. Just have to be careful not to disturb the existing beaver dam there.
So there's no water going through it, and if you collapse the pipe, say by trying to put the sleeve in and then the inside stuff collapses, it's not gonna create any sort of a
No,
trouble
we'd
for
have
the,
to- We'd have to make it good because you could get a good rainstorm, a rain period.
Yep.
You get 8 inches or so, as the beaver dams get washed out. They don't hold up in a good flood. So I want both pipes, both the outlets have to be working.
okay.
But not, they might not work for 2, 3 years, they don't have to.
Right,
I wouldn't wanna close off one.
right.
Right.
We're trying to come up with some kind of permanent plan, going back and look at what we did before and try to satisfy what DEP's objections were to it. And, you know, I've been talking with the neighbors to try to determine, you know, what the neighbors are thinking about it. So it's still in the works, but this is something that needs to be taken care of either immediately or fairly soon. So we'll let any neighbors speak.
I object to anything being done there until proper, I only need 3 copies you guys share, so. Until the proper channels have been met, until the Mass DEP has had the opportunity to look at it. Right now, there is a denial form on that, you have the copy of that. I'm Arthur Klosnitzer, 86 Washington Street. And my objections are simple. There's been work down on that pond for years. This is the 3rd or the 4th time something has happened. The work is being done without proper permits. The work is being done without proper notification. The last time this happened, myself and my wife hired a lawyer, our own engineering firm. We contested the project.
Can
The
I
state-
interrupt for a second?
Yes, sir.
Was that the 97
No.
repair that was done?
No, that was, you want me to read my letter and then go into it?
Sure.
That was in, what happened is October 31st, 2012, Mass DOP requested information concerning the improvement of drainage of Mill Pond. That's what we're talking about now, yes, sir.
I don't want to I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but when you said that work was done illegally without permits, was that the 97 work, or has there been?
Be honest
work
with you,
done?
I don't know the exact date. At the time, Dr. Bill Dock was one of the selectmen. I noticed some work being done down there by the highway department. I went down to inquire what was going on. I was told by Mr. Arcanian to mind my own business. I told him this was my business. I went,
Do you have a date?
I don't know it. I got Bill Dock. He came up from his dental office during his lunch break, asked him what the numbers were, what the permits were. They didn't have them, and it was stopped at that point. I do not know the date.
Okay.
Okay, it can be verified if you wish to contact.
No, I'm
Mr.
I'm
Dock.
trying to figure out 20 years ago, 5 years
No,
ago,
no,
10
no,
years
no.
ago, that kind of thing.
No, not that long ago. This is mostly with the last round. So on October 31st, 2012, Mass DOP requested information concerning the improvement of drainage at Mill Pond, which is what we're talking about tonight. January 20th, 2013, an engineering firm stated that they were waiting for information from the town and requested an extension, which was granted by the state. June 18th, 2013, Mass DOP had not received any communication from the town or the engineering firm. Both parties were notified that no future extensions would be granted. September 19th, 2013, Mass DOP requested a status of the TLE project. The engineering firm stated a study would commence in a few weeks. May 23rd, 2014, as of this date, Mass DOP had not received any information and denied the project. The file number is 030-0409. It was provided by the DEP. WPA Form 5, which supersede order of conditions, which is good for 3 years, which means until May 23rd, 2017, nothing's supposed to be done down there until this paperwork has been submitted. You have copies of that. That's in that, underneath that is a copy from the state.
Okay, so, Art, you're saying that the thing that DEP was looking for, which they said they haven't received, is the watershed report, right?
Just right, information
Okay.
on what was going on, it's never been submitted.
So, I'll let Mr. Arakalian say it, but I have been reviewing a draft of the watershed report received a couple weeks ago from Cammon Engineering. And Bob, I think you can tell us what's gone on, why you haven't had that report up until now.
Well, we didn't have the report, there was a change in the office staff was one of the main reasons that it was delayed. But that report, I mean, they didn't get the report, so they gave a denial. The DEP gave the denial on the superseding order, so, I mean, it's over. You have to start from scratch, do
Mhm.
anything else.
Mm,
You can't work off of that one now.
yeah.
And
So-
that's why we have this hearing now, right?
Yeah, well, right, because the issue is still there regarding the culvert.
I'm missing, there's obviously a lot more to this, but for the simple fix of this one little section right here, assuming that all proper permits were there, what is your?
If all proper permits were there,
Yeah,
if the abutters were notified, if there was due process,
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen any of that information. The paper you have in front of you showing what's going on, I haven't seen. I don't know what's going on there. My concern is the level of that pond has been lowered and lowered and lowered. It was dry one year. There are historical documentation, Army Corps of Engineer maps that show what the level of the water should be. For some reason, that level keeps being tampered with, and the pond's losing its water. You go there now, and it's awful. What used to be this beautiful pond, a wildlife habitat, is just awful. Weeds are growing in, there's no need of what happened.
This doesn't have anything to do with it.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with the culvert being fixed, yes, but, you know, we're trying to get perspective on the whole
And on
thing.
emergency certification, you don't have to notify them.
Well, but the
Yeah.
town's had plenty of time, the highway department's had plenty of time to come up with a plan and submit it to the state, to make it public to the neighbors, and it was never done.
But we're not
And now
doing
we're
it.
sitting here 3 years later, and all of a sudden, there's a big emergency. Why? Because
No,
poor
because of
planning?
the road.
No planning?
Well, I think there's a difference,
It's
though.
just the road. We're not gonna do the other.
The road is part of the
Right,
original.
right. The last plan involved digging and putting in a concrete buttress or culvert or whatever you want to call it,
Two dams.
with a method of, I think you could have wood slots that could be adjustable or something like that, and then, my understanding is, if I remember correctly, the DEP said, well, you look at the whole watershed, it actually goes all the way back to Johnson Pond, and there needs to be a study of the entire area from Johnson's Pond all the way down through all the various ponds and many road crossings before they would, to the river, before they would decide what's what.
So what protection is being in place now to protect the level of
Well, I
that
think, in
pond?
my mind, there's a huge difference in one, we're not digging to, or Mr. O'Kane has been planning to dig and put in a concrete dam, which there's a contention last time, I believe, over where that lower water level should be. I forget the numbers, but that was going back and forth. The second thing is, I look at this, say the road collapses, Don's house is on fire, fire truck can't get there.
Absolutely. So
And
why
I-
wasn't
Or
this
if the truck
addressed,
came down, how would make cave in?
so why wasn't this addressed 3 years ago when we started? Why was,
I think
why was
so.
several requests by the state not met?
That was nothing to do with it, though.
It was part of the project.
So I guess I'm gonna say, I think what you're saying, and just say it just a little bit differently. Any change into the original design for sure needs all proper permits, and I agree that it should not move forward. But I think what's being proposed to us right here is not a change in anything that wasn't already there. This is simply fixing or making sure what's already there doesn't collapse. It is not a material change.
And what's going to be done to protect the integrity of that pond when this work is being done?
I don't think.
Well,
this
that would be in our conditions, we'd have to say, if we want to do this tonight, we've got to come up with some conditions to make sure that we don't
And
damage
shouldn't
that
the
dam
abutters
or
have a say
anything
in,
else.
in this? Shouldn't the people who are going to be affected have been given due notice?
But let me
Well-
ask you this, if he puts a sleeve in the pipe, how are you negatively affected?
Well, they accidentally hit the beaver dam and the pond empties.
Or tomorrow, we get 4 inches of rain and the Beaver Dam collapses on its own.
The water level's probably 18 inches below the top of the dam. You're going to need more than 4 inches of rain to,
I know, but this is all speculation. I mean, we're not trying to change the level of the water that's there. And I think he even said it's full of sediment. I remember being there, and you showed pictures from 10 or 15 years ago, whenever, and it was all water, and now it's really low. I can show you the pond next to my house that has no dam or anything in it, and I can virtually see the bottom. I mean, we just
I
haven't had a lot
also
of rain
showed you
lately.
pictures of the highway department being down there tearing apart the beaver dams to lower the level of the water. You guys have had an awful lot of information.
We did that, it was a permit because we trap beavers, and I get a permit from the conservation for that.
Was a permit issued this last spring when you were trapping beaver down that pond?
We didn't touch the dam.
We-
We trapped from their house.
I just asked if you had permission from the conservation this spring.
Permission this spring, I didn't have to.
Why did you not have to have permission this spring from conservation?
We didn't touch the dam. We trapped their house.
So why were you trapping the beaver down the pond then? What was the reason for that?
So to keep the water level down.
But that's not even what we're discussing today, so I don't think that's
No, it
pertinent
isn't,
to
but-
this.
But that's one of the issues. So to keep the water level down, there's been activities to keep the water level down. That's my concern,
The water
as the
level gets up
elevation.
too high and it's choking the trees off, because there's too much sediment in the pond. I mean, if you can't see that, then you're blind.
If you can't read a topographical map and see that the historical
But-
elevations,
But the issue here is the road is collapsing, which is 100%.
not arguing that.
The highway department.
My argument is, what are we doing to protect the pond, and why wasn't this addressed through the state, when the state was involved 3 years ago, and the state asked numerous times for information on how this was gonna be done?
Because they had given up on the dams. We're not gonna do the dams until we have the study finished, and then we know now from reading the study, we need dredging in the pond.
So, right, so that's kind of a moot point at this time. So I think if we can focus maybe on, if we are gonna allow this as an emergency, you know, there's no requirement to notify anybody, but Bob has to file a regular notice of intent, which will be done kind of in after the fact. You know, sometimes we do it that way, unfortunately. That's when everyone will get their notice, and that's when we'll go through the hearing process. But I think tonight we have to decide two things. One is, are we gonna allow it as an emergency? And if so, what are we gonna do to make sure that, you know, what extra measures should we be requesting so that we make sure that we don't cause any further damage, particularly to the beaver dam?
Yeah, agreed, so another
Okay.
question then.
Yep.
I would also like to ask why the state hasn't been called and notified that there is gonna be something done down there. And on the last page of the packet I gave you, on the issuance, it says this order is valid for 3 years from date of issuance, which brings us up to May 23rd, 2017. Are we gonna be in violation of anything and have to pay another fine for work that was done by violating an order?
No, that's a good question. That's a good question because, you know, that affects all Groveland residents. If we're having to pay a fine or do some other costly thing, we don't want to have to incur that. So, Bob, you're saying that the state, after this letter, they somehow issued they denied the superseding order?
On May 23rd, 2014.
You have a copy of that? The
Yeah,
last
that's
page.
this letter. That's this letter that he gave us. But do you have a copy of where it says they overturned the superseding order? I saw it, so I know it exists myself.
But they're gonna be notified through the NOI process.
Well, they are gonna be notified through the NOI. They'll also get a copy of the emergency order, and they get 10 days to call us back and say, you can't do this.
Yeah,
Right. So, I mean, it's not like they're not gonna know what's going on.
yeah, you have to notify them through the emergency certification.
Right. No,
So
we've
you can
done
do
it
that.
before for septic systems and other stuff like that. It's not unusual in that regard.
So,
So-
commissioners,
I have a question, so.
yeah,
So I just want to reiterate one more time, you are certain that when you go with the truck and lower the pipe down over the side, that you are not going to disturb any of the area, and you're going to put it right into the hole without,
Right. The beaver dam's quite a ways away from it, so,
how big are those? 4 feet?
8.
Oh, 8 feet?
it's a significantly heavy pipe.
Yeah.
There'll be a good-sized machine there.
But the key is if it doesn't touch anything else, the question is there an impact?
Does your diagram show the distance from the beaver dam to where the outlet is going to happen?
There's not really
Beaver
no
dam.
scale on.
No, no scale.
So do we know there's 8 feet there so they can safely, or 9 feet, so they can safely maneuver this pipe down?
That would be somewhere in the 10 to 15 feet.
You guys got a ruler?
It's tricky to
maybe like 20.
do.
Probably, using my scale written on my piece of paper, I'm gonna say like 15 to 20 feet.
Yeah, if you go by the 100-foot buffer
It certainly
line.
appears you have the 8 feet.
Oh, it's quite a
Yeah.
ways, yeah.
But the equipment sits up on the road and slides it down? Okay.
it's gonna go down between where the culvert opening is and the beaver dam. So it can't, you know, swing back and knock against the beaver dam. So I think that, you know, if we do allow this, that we might want to also have some means of, you know, stopping it up, like some hay bales there on the site, or something else to
Stop what?
stop the flow of water if the dam were somehow struck and it started leaking. And also, you know, I would want to be there the entire time that's being done. How long is this, do you estimate it's gonna take to put those sleeves in place, Bob?
If things go good, maybe a day.
Oh, okay. So I'll be there the entire time.
If we're worried about this road collapsing, I'm just curious, this sounds like pretty heavy equipment that you're putting on top
Yeah,
of
yeah,
of
it is.
something
Well, they
that's
don't
easy
have to put it on
collapse.
top of the road. They don't have to put it there.
And we'll straddle where the pipe is because it's big.
Okay,
But I think we'll bring plates down anyway. You know,
Okay.
the steel plates are on 97?
Yeah, sure.
Those are ours.
okay.
So I'll take them off of there, by the Georgetown line. Those are our plates, and I'll probably take them off, bring them down.
I think you need to make that part of the,
Probably sick of driving over those.
Steel plates.
If there were any alteration to the current design, I would be inclined to agree with what you were saying, and that we should get, for any change, that there should be whatever permits in place. To me, this is a simple shoring up of what's already there. There's no change whatsoever to the
Yeah.
design that's there. I don't have a problem with it, as long as it's done
Keeps me from
correctly.
living on that.
it's not a bad thing.
That's a,
It is, but, you know, you
Only
can't
if it
get in and
collapses.
out of it, and what good is it? Should they raise it?
Can you think, Art, of anything else that you would want to see if we allow this to be done under an emergency order?
I haven't
So-
seen anything, so I'd like to see it all.
Well, so what we're saying is the conditions would be, you know, that that one of the commissioners will be on site at all times, that steel plates have to be in place on the roadway to protect it from collapsing under any other wacky conditions that happen.
I don't see any reason why you can't take a look, right?
I'll grab his on the way out.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's not like we're trying to, there's no hiding of information here, right?
It's okay, no, I'll grab it on the way out.
The crane shouldn't park on top of the roadway, and hay bales will be on site.
Well, hang on, they're gonna have to park on the roadway, but just further up.
No, I'm saying not right on top of the culvert. The culvert area is, you know, approximately about 10 feet, so they certainly can avoid that area.
With the steel plates on it, it's gonna help take the load off the pipes too.
Yeah.
So,
And then, I'm sorry, Tom. And then if it doesn't, if it's too egg-shaped, because it's.
Yeah, if you can't do it,
Then we'll have to do we'll leave the steel plates on the road and do a notice of intent to replace the pipe.
yeah, you're gonna do that anyway, but you may have to change, yeah.
Yeah, so just to be clear, we're only approving for you putting in this pipe if it works, if not,
Right. That's why my alternative plan is to leave the steel plate and do the notice of intent to replace the pipe with the pipe that was supposed to be sleeved.
you pretty much know that it's gonna succeed because you measured it, right? And it was
Yeah,
perfect.
we were down there last week, and we haven't received any big rains, so. But it was deteriorating, the edge is going faster than I thought, you know, at the end of the winter it started to.
I mean, generally speaking, I don't like to do things under emergency orders, and, you know, we don't usually do this route unless it's absolutely necessary for septic systems that are failing, and, you know, with hindsight, I think it's easy to say, you know, it should have been done before, why wasn't it addressed before? But, you know, partly because of some things that happened at Camet, you know, that report wasn't finished. I think it's kind of been dragging along. I know every time I've run into Don, you know, he's told me, when's it gonna happen, when's it gonna happen, you know, and I know Bob has been thinking about it, so,
And another, I'm sorry, Mike, another reason for the delay was we had to go to town meeting to approve the funds for the engineering study.
oh, okay. Oh, really?
That was another one.
That was back in 2014 or something, right?
Either way, this isn't over. You make this emergency repair, this whole issue still remains, and it's still gonna be, right, to fix this thing. This isn't over by a long shot.
No, no.
My son did find some grant information that I forwarded to Mike today about possibly dredging, you know, whether it be that pond or any other areas in town, so, I mean, we're gonna look at some of those.
Right, so some of our plans for the pond is to improve it. You know, I have been talking with Art, been talking with Don, talking with Bob. We talk about possibly fixing it by dredging, which will restore the depth of the pond rather than just raising the water, which is what we originally thought to do. And also putting flow control devices in there so that we're not relying on beaver dams to control the water. But I think that potentially this could take, you know, 3 more years before, at a final solution for the place.
So just one more concern.
Yep.
If we're discussing here replacing only the section under the road because if the road collapsed, that's a safety problem. But if the pipe underneath the road is that corroded, I'm assuming the rest of the pipe is corroded also, right?
But that's under a lawn.
I understand, but basically, this whole pipe is heading towards failure.
Oh,
Is-
eventually it'll have to get replaced.
Yeah.
Eventually, part of it's already replaced with concrete, the outfall.
A few years after I moved in, we had heavy rain. You know, and probably some of your questions are, why do we need 2 culverts? When that rain happened, the water was coming out, whatever the pipe is, 54, 60 inches. It was completely full, bouncing out of the ground at the other end. It took out like 75 feet. And then when the pipe broke off, they replaced with concrete from there back about 75 feet, because that was all that FEMA, you know, put money up for at that particular time. They didn't look at the other end and find that it was all rotted out.
That was because the force was
When it was
at
so
the
much.
end.
But the other culvert was full almost to the top.
But it's deteriorating more at the beginning because that's where the flow was coming in, where I'm talking about the street, where the hot tops caving in on the street. That's at the beginning because it's getting air, and that's probably helping it deteriorate quicker.
This is not a Band-Aid though, is it? This is like a fix, right?
This will
Like you're
fix.
not gonna be back here in 2 years saying,
No.
we need to do something
No,
else.
concrete's a long time.
Okay.
Lasts long.
But there is an overall Johnson's watershed fix
Yes.
happening with all, there's other roads that have pipes underneath, and it's there's a more comprehensive project at some point that's gonna
Right.
happen.
I just wanted to know what his sleeve is, what it's made out of. It's not like a temporary thing, that's all.
No, it's
Okay.
concrete.
Okay.
And we fixed the culvert downstream from this pipe, 2 years ago on Center Street. We did a box culvert.
Okay.
We, did the oil conditions. It has the guardrail just there at St. Patrick's Church,
Right at the bottom of the hill there.
bottom of the hill. There's a few that have to be repaired. And I think you have the draft, Mike, for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I have to get that back eventually.
right. I'm gonna give you my comments of reading through it.
Okay.
So, Art, is there anything else that, assuming that, you know, you don't really agree with it being an emergency, but if we were gonna move forward as an emergency, is there any other things that you'd like to see us put in there as a condition?
I would like time to take this plan and go down there and look at, match this with what's physically there.
Yeah,
I mean, if you vote on it tonight, it takes that right away from me.
well, the other thing that we can do is, which might allow that is, we can wait, what's today, the 15th? We can wait 10 days to see what DEP has to say. DEP, like I say, as soon as I send this to them, they've got 10 days to call me up and say, don't go forward with this, so,
Well, yeah, because we have 30 days.
to do it, yes,
So, you can.
yeah. So that would give our time to look at it and decide,
It'd
you
also
know.
give me time to address some of the neighbors. I mean,
Yep.
I know I'm the only guy that showed up, but there's more than myself that are concerned about this.
Right, well, that's, they didn't hear about it, you know, only you and Dawn know about it, because I called the both of you up, because I knew that.
3:30 yesterday.
Right, you had the biggest concerns about it, so,
And my concern is just looking at this is, you know, is the shoulder along that road going to be widened? Is, you know, what's,
Bob, what work are you doing? Are you simply putting in 3 sections of 8-foot
Yeah.
pipe into the
you're
And
not
I'll
doing,
put- And I put riprap on the top of the show like we're doing. It's caving in now, we're putting in riprap as we're going.
Okay, so riprap around the entrance of the pipe so that there's no erosion there.
Right, and we're doing it now, but it's going, if you go down and see, you'll see.
Right. Well, I remember from several years ago, it's all sort of caving in.
So I asked you what was the only thing you were going to touch, putting the pipe in, and you said yes. You did not say I was gonna put riprap down. So I wanna know exactly what you're going to
Oh,
touch
it said on
first.
the, if you didn't read the, I'm gonna grout, the end of the pipe.
can I get a copy of that too? Because all I got is your map right now,
yeah, you can have this copy,
scope of what's going to be done.
but it doesn't have our conditions on there, which I'm gonna do.
So it says with
So I
grout-
can do that
Yeah.
tomorrow, and I can bring it over to you.
So I wanna know exactly what we're approving here. It says
Yeah.
with grout on the end. It doesn't say adding riprap.
All right, we'll add the riprap.
I just wanna, before, whatever we say, I'm not expecting you to do anything more or less, nothing. So whatever you need to do, let's make sure that we're approving
Right.
it.
Let me write that on here.
Well, it serves as a stabilization.
Whatever it is fine, but you need to say it, so that we know that what we're approving. So
Okay.
how much riprap are we talking about? What is that we're adding?
How are you gonna say that? I don't know.
You don't have to be exact, but just, rough.
Behind the beaver dam?
Well, like surrounding the pipe or what, like
Around
5 feet from the edge of the pipe all the way around
Yeah,
as
that's
required or
plenty.
something? Is that sort of?
Okay,
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying yes or no to anything, I just want to know exactly what we're doing.
No, I'm with you, and especially, the neighbor has a concern, and then if all of a sudden all this other stuff shows up, that's, people didn't know about it, so.
That's plenty.
So grout around the end
Yeah,
and
we have to.
riprap not to exceed 5 feet from the end of the pipe. Is there anything else? Okay,
Is there any, are you gonna hot top over the top again?
Yes. We'll be hot topping the road.
Okay, as part of this, or just that one section to do any repairs?
As that section, a section.
Okay,
We'll be hot topping the road because the big machine will make a little bit of a mess. On the pavement.
hot top will not exceed the current hot top, it'll be directly over where it is right
Yeah,
now.
right.
Well, it'll stay in the same width.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
In the remarks, you have a remarks section on the certification.
Yep.
The right of way is like, it's 33 feet, but the pavement's only probably 12.
so you're staying to the 12?
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, okay. or you're staying to whatever is existing there now.
The right-of-way is 33, but it's in the water, you know.
Right.
It's a dead-end road. I don't know why you would ever make it bigger in the first place.
Don't know why what?
Why would you make it bigger? It's a dead-end road,
Right.
so,
So I can't get wider cars?
yeah.
All right,
According to this, it says that the road's 33 feet wide, so you just lost me when you're talking.
So legally, there's, all the roads, or a lot of the roads are like this, there's a legal right-of-way that the town owns.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, it actually goes on what people think is their property and their lawn. Legally, the town could come through and cut that couple feet off, or depending what road it is, and put their road in there. So he's saying, he thinks right now it's about 12 feet wide, the existing hot top. He's not gonna exceed what the existing hot top is, whatever that is.
I don't have any of that information. It's,
Well, he's putting it in the thing.
He has to write it in the remarks.
You want me to make a motion?
if you want to, yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the emergency repair. The emergency repair is going to install 8-foot sections from the road with a crane. They're not going to disturb the beaver dam or any of the area around the pipe, except for up to 5 feet for riprap around the end of the pipe. Nothing else is to be disturbed. There'll be grout around the end of the pipe, and the hut top on top may be repaved, and nothing else should be modified.
And a member of us to be there.
I think Mike volunteered for that.
He's gonna-
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm just writing these things down. All right.
Yeah, you're gonna vote
And,
after.
and so we're going to have the start date be in 11 days, so that you'll still have 30 days, but you won't be able to start it for 10 days. That way there, I'll get it to DEP, I'll give Art a chance to, get back to me if he has some other concerns. Okay, start date would be next week on the 26th. Okay, so, can you make a copy of that for us, so we can give a copy to Art Klosnitzer? All right, any other comments on what we're proposing here? And so, Bob, you'll continue with the notice of intent filing anyway, because we gotta do that.
Yeah. Okay. How about if we have to, well, we can change, can you change the notice of intent?
Yeah, I suspect
I don't think we're gonna have a
you
problem.
won't, you'll be probably filing it when you're actually completing the work,
I don't think we're gonna have a problem, but if I file it as I'm doing it, and then we find out we can't, we have to do we can do what are they, you do a modified notice of intent?
No, you can change it as long as we do it before the hearing,
Or
I-
would you just go for the extreme?
Yeah. I doubt we'll be doing it in July. It'll probably be August, so.
And that's been changing down there, so.
Any other questions, concerns? All right, so all in favor of allowing the work to move forward on a emergency basis with the conditions we outlined and not starting before June 26th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, okay, so it's unanimous.
thank you.
Let me get the copy for you. and- Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Chasing you down.
All right.
We're all set.
Yeah. Who made that motion?
I did.
Okay. So,
Why?
so I gotta send that in right away.
Condition is though.
So, if, you know where, here's VZ?
Yep.
And there's Washington.
So, Julie, Carl made the motion to approve it for the emergency repair with the conditions as discussed and
Center
work
Street.
not to begin before June 26th. And who seconded it?
Tom.
I did.
Tom, and it was unanimous.
Here's the church?
Yep.
The parking lot?
Yep.
Right there.
Okay. All right.
Is right there. The pond is right there. Art looks like right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Next is the notice of intent for 2 Ashcroft Circle. So we'll open the hearing at 8:30 PM. This is a state notice of intent and a Groveland notice of intent combination. And it is for a new shed and potential changes to a single-family home. I'll let the owner explain it a little bit.
Can you mute there?
If you want to, or you can stay there.
I'm really not sure where to begin. This started, when Mike came out with the building inspector 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. There was I should go back one step further. A few years ago, I took down an 8x12 rotting shed. Wanted to replace it with a new shed. So I came down with a building permit, came down with drawings, the whole thing. Showed it to Pat. Received the building permit and figured that I'm good. He said, make sure that you're 15 feet within the property line.
Building inspector?
Yes. As of a month ago, now it's brought to my attention, it wasn't brought to my attention then that I was even supposed to touch base with you folks. Which, what started the ball rolling was, my 2 boys, some of their friends decided to take scrap wood and build a super boardwalk in the wetlands. Somebody came to somebody's attention, it was a mess, it wasn't gonna stay there, but it looked like I was tossing things out into the wet. Both culprits are here this evening. It was about a day after the new building inspector and Mike came out, the next day, it was cleaned up. But then we found out that there were fees that were supposed to be, filings to be done with the state and with the town for conservation. We took care of that. Now I'm here.
Yep.
We also did our mailings to our abutters, which we did not, how many did we have total?
Yep,
And the newspaper.
yeah.
So this is for the shed, but there was a shed already there?
It was a shed, it was rotten, it was rotting, it was a mess.
Right, but the question is were you already grandfathered?
No, there's no such thing. I mean, you know, he put a completely new shed up.
Okay,
And the building inspector failed to tell him that he should be coming to see us,
because it was within 100 feet, yeah.
so.
Yep.
So it's not his fault by any means. And he has been very, very cooperative, stopping work when, asked to, and the building inspector posted it that, no more work should be done until he has his permits, and, he's been very cooperative as far as filing everything that need to be filed, and so, it's clearly just an unfortunate oversight.
And the addition on the house that he was talking about.
Oh, yeah, so what else were you thinking about doing?
It's a dream of ours. It really comes down to money.
Yep,
So we're sort of keeping the dream alive. If I show you on the plan, it's actually on the other side of, it's where the deck is. Here's our street. Here's the house. It would be on this side of the house. So
towards-
maybe,
show them on that.
Oh,
drawing.
Towards the front of the house from the deck?
correct, the deck would be taken off,
Okay.
and we would just replace it with a family room.
So where the deck is essentially the same area that's,
Kind of the same footprint. Now, we would come back further, and I think that's where I could run into,
you really wanna stay out of 50 feet? Okay.
okay,
Is he doing an NOI too, or just GNOI?
No, it's a notice of intent.
Oh, okay, do whatever you want. No, I mean, you've already filed for it, so you can go in.
okay.
So you're thinking back here somewhere.
And his intention is to get it under this same permit, so that if he does go forward, while the intent is still, or while the permit's still
Yep,
active.
no,
he can go do it.
Is there a timeline on that? Because
It's usually 3 years, but you can
Okay.
file for extensions, and you need to make sure you pay attention.
I think, I don't think we can just hand wave that, I mean.
No, we would have to
it needs be
provide
on the
conditions.
Well, no, it needs to be on the,
Well,
document
that,
here.
we can make one of the conditions be, the plan has to be provided before any work is done and before we sign off on it, because he's not even gonna come before us with a building permit. He's gonna have to go through the whole building
Right.
permit process on that. And, we can put, conditions in there regarding distance to the wetlands there, so, keep him, if you see, that's a little bit further away over there.
Well, it's the 50-foot mark that you need,
Yeah,
that
so-
we would want you to stay out of,
So
right?
if we, I don't think he'd have any problem staying out of the 50-foot on the house addition.
And this is a 50-foot line, we don't want you to cross over
Correct.
that.
Correct.
50-foot line. Oh, God.
But do you think you will cross over?
I could,
I mean, I think to Carl's point, if we think he's gonna be within 40 feet, we should discuss that now.
Yep.
Not that we say you can't be past 50, and then you go and come up with some plans, and now you're at,
If
40
it-
feet away.
If it's gonna be, you went and looked at the shed, right? So
Yep.
All right,
So the shed is within,
yeah, I understand, but if there's any new plans here and it's over the 50-foot boundary, I'd wanna go see it. If it's out of the 50-foot, I think that's a different story.
again, it's a little premature. I would come in with not my own drawing, probably an architectural drawing, and start going through the process again.
right.
I'm not sure. It could be 38 feet, it could be 52 feet.
I don't think he's ready to bring that, I don't think we should add that yet until he knows what he wants to do.
Well, or we can go look at it. We don't have to approve it tonight.
Just as a point of clarity, Mike suggested that he do this and add this to this permit.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just-
But what
He's
I'm
not
saying
trying
is,
to-
is that I think that works if it's outside of the 50, and I think if
Yep.
it's inside of the 50, I think we start to get a little bit more too
Well,
delicate here.
It's not that he can't do it. Our restrictions our conditions may be more restrictive if the closer he's getting to the BVW.
Correct.
So having this on the filing doesn't give me carte blanche to just go ahead and do things. Just if I go past the 50 foot, then I'm gonna have to bring it before you.
Well, you're gonna get in theory, you're gonna get a permit from us. It's gonna have a bunch of conditions on it, some of which you've already done for the shed, certain things. you have to put some erosion controls in place. And since you don't know exactly where the addition is, it's hard for us to say you should put erosion controls here. So what we would do is put a condition that says, before we sign a building permit, you must come before us with a plan so that we can address any changes to it regarding erosion controls or any other things. That's the way I would go with it.
I wouldn't even go that far. We may not approve it.
Yeah,
I
but-
don't think we want to give approval until we know what we're doing.
Well, we can give approval for the shed now,
That, I'm good with that.
and then we could approve the conditions Mike put on there, so, and then maybe word it, Mike, somehow that, you know, subject to review and additional approval, because it'll be a change to the NOI. We don't have to approve
As
a
long as we
change.
aren't, it has to be subject to something, because I don't want to, we shouldn't have an approval out there until we know exactly what's going to happen.
But we would force him to come in for a change, requesting a change to the NOI, right, Mike?
We could do it that way. I mean, if he's outside of 50 feet, it's, you know, we're just concerned, I just don't want to have him file with
Right.
DEP again, you know?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you have in your mind sort of a maximum size? And then we can see and consider that maximum size, and then you'd have more of a not a carte blanche, but more of a, we approved you for this big, but you're actually within that, so therefore, you know.
We were
fine.
thinking 20 by 40, but that can move forward up the house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I'm good with it if you could be good with staying out of the 50-foot. That's kind of where my head is.
Well, I mean, either way, if I'm within the 50 feet or I'm going over, regardless of what was filed, would you want me to, even before a building permit, should be something that I run by you guys?
Yeah. So we could say we want him to stay out of the 50-foot, and if he's gonna go within 50-foot, he just has to come back for a revision. Right.
Revision and request approval.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it,
that's right.
that's what it means.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Mike, do you know, do they still have the, back in 2008, 2009, they waived the 3-year,
Yeah, it's gone now,
it's gone.
yeah.
So you need to,
This will expire in 3 years at 2017. You just have to make, before it expires, come back to us and get an extension on it.
just be very, because once it expires, and then you gotta go through it all again, so.
So in that 3-year period, would I have to do a newspaper ad?
No. No, but you have to apply for an extension with us. So that's why it's important not to let it lapse, because if you let it lapse, it's as if you're filing brand new again. And you have to go through all that.
And we would want you to just come forward with your plan, show us what your actual plans are. And you can do that at the time that we're gonna sign your building permit, you know, and then we'll look at it. And again, as long as it's outside the 50-foot buffer, we're not gonna have you change anything.
3 years from,
It'll be somewhere in the next month that I'll get you the permit. Any other questions, ideas, concerns?
Do we have any abutters that are here on this? No.
Yep, we have some.
Oh, okay.
Do you wanna see the map, or you have a good idea? Or you're all set?
Yeah, so this, you know, we'll, as far as the shed is concerned and the addition, we're gonna ask you to put, kind of surround it with hay bales or silt sock. Any other conditions that anybody wants?
Was there any concerns from the neighbors? No?
Yep.
So before I continue work, do you, 'cause it really just needs to be sided and a roof put on it.
Yeah, so what's gonna happen is, we'll write up the permit, give it to you, then you schedule a pre-construction meeting with us, we'll come and look at it, look at the erosion controls. You have to register it at the registry of deeds, and then you can move forward.
But he's already done that. He's already put up most of the building, isn't it?
Yeah, but
So-
there's no erosion controls there, so before, he has a stop work order on it.
Right, no, I'm just curious as to whether that's gonna
Is it-
prevent
Yeah.
anything that's,
Has everything grown, is it stable, the ground? Like, is everything, I don't know when you stopped work, like
slope?
early this spring or like a year ago?
Yeah, I really haven't had a chance to do much
It looks like it is.
this year in 2016.
So last year you had done last year you dug the holes?
No, everything's really,
Okay, so everything's grown around it,
everything's
that's gonna grow.
rock solid.
I just think that maybe that'd be overkill to make him put in
Erosion
this
control.
erosion controls when he's already had all the grass growing in it. Okay.
Because you never know what's gonna happen.
So
You
this,
know.
this new shed is,
And we have to treat it like it's not been built.
Okay.
Yeah.
what is the
We're new.
status of the shed, the new shed?
Status?
Yeah, is it,
How much more work do you have to do on it?
Siding, shingles on the roof, a garage door, a big wider door.
okay. I mean, I guess my only comment to that, in general, we like to keep things out of the 50-foot buffer if you can. So if you got materials and storage and all that other stuff, try to keep it away. And of course, I'm assuming the wharf into the wetlands has been removed.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Any other questions? All right, so,
So if we approve this order, it's going to include the addition or not?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
As long as he stays
And then they
outside.
can amend it,
yes,
okay.
yes. And what I will do is I'll put conditions on there, assuming, you know, like we've been told, a roughly 20 by 40 addition outside of the 50-foot, you know, where the erosion, I can estimate where the erosion controls can go. So if, you know, if they are able to follow those plans, then he won't have to come back before us again.
Quick question.
Yep.
If I do the sock,
Yep.
how long is that supposed to stay in place?
Well, for your shed, you know, you pretty much you put it there, and those things take about 2 years to totally degrade. So usually people just leave them and let them degrade.
But if the job, once the job is complete,
Yeah,
it can be taken up?
yeah,
and then
as long as you
salvaged
let us
for
know.
possible-
As long as you let us know, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Do you have a key or should I?
I don't have it,
Okay, then I'll give it to you.
sure. Either that, you can lock us in here and we can,
No, it's an open meeting, so I can't lock you in, right?
no, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm gonna try and get this motion. So I move
All right.
to allow the addition of the shed, or sorry, the building of the shed and of the addition to the house of approximately 20 by 40 feet in size, so long as he keeps outside of the 50-foot buffer zone
For the addition.
for the addition. And with the contingencies that we have to have an on-site visit by us, we have to have either hay bales or a silt sock around while the construction is going on for both of them, if he does the addition, and also definitely for the shed. And what else am I missing?
Address.
Address?
Oh, for
Oh.
2
for
Ashcroft
2
Circle.
Ashcroft Circle. Sorry.
second. Seconded.
Okay. Any other questions? No?
Is he gonna need the handrails around the addition too, if he does build it?
Yes.
Okay.
So Mike, I should wait to hear.
Yeah, don't do anything. I'll get in touch with you with the permit and tell you what to do next.
Wait on the silt sock until you.
Yeah, I would wait on everything, because I gotta,
Across the back when we do it?
yeah, it'll be kinda around the shed in a semicircle.
Thank you guys for coming.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
You want one of these back?
Oh, those are mine.
Oh, they're both yours, sorry.
These are from the last filing. All right. I'll make a motion that we close the hearing at 8:47 PM. All in need a second on that.
Wait, hang on.
We still have the 7-star.
Yeah, no, I know, we're closing, we have to close this
Oh,
hearing, because it's an
second.
actual hearing,
Oh.
yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain, no, unanimous. Okay, so that one's closed. All right. So I move that this is another DEP required notice of intent hearing. This is for 7 Star Road, map 19, lot 23, parcel B, single-family home. Groveland notice of intent hearing. Motion to open the hearing at 8:50 PM. Second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain? No? Okay, unanimous. All right.
Thank you.
All right, give me that stuff.
Before you start, can you tell me, on Seven Star, where is this in relation to the four corners there?
That's a good question.
I didn't, usually there's like a locus map on there in relation to what?
We're Center Street and
So you have Bear Hill Road,
Yeah, so this is closer to where Center and 7 Star meet.
okay. I'm just trying to.
But it's between the two, between Bear Hill and.
Is this the empty lot that we took a look at?
Yeah, it's the rest of the lot. This is the other side of the lot.
Okay, this is, right, there's Nora Lane, there's the Bronze House, and then there's this driveway, or whatever you wanna call it, coming in, then the Belanger house.
It's kind of
So
small.
it's,
So before Tallyshire?
well, way before that, it's Center Street and then Nora Lane, it's closest to Nora Lane.
Yeah, it's between Nora Lane and Center Street. So kinda right-
Oh, okay.
Who's that? Center Street.
We looked at this, we looked at the A parcel back last year, if you recall.
So that's the A parcel is the one in the front on the bottom right?
No,
No.
that's an bottom right is existing, I was in,
A parcel's over here.
this is, Bronze House, Belanger's house is here, this is field, and that's a 50-foot piece on the back, on the other side.
This is the A parcel.
Yeah, this is parcel B.
This is 123, 7 Star. 123, 7
Right.
Star, so
Okay,
parcel A is over here.
okay.
So this,
Well, first, my name is Robert Blanchett, civil engineer with Cambit Engineering. And here tonight to discuss a notice of intent that we filed on behalf of our client, Mr. Petrosca. So this is for work associated with a single-family house lot off of Seven Star Road. The, this came into being because the actual legal frontage to the lot is on, I don't remember the name of this road over here, excuse me. Center Street. And due to the extent of wetlands across the parcel, in order to get to this upland piece here, which is where all the good soil testing is, it would have required a wetland crossing with the driveway. So instead, we applied to the town planning board to allow frontage from, excuse me, access from other than the legal frontage, which put us on Seven Star. So we're here tonight to discuss the work that we're proposing within 100 feet to a buffer zone and, well, associated with the driveway and single-family house.
Have you gotten approval from the planning board?
Yes. No word from the Board of Health yet. So I attempted to reach out to them today. So in usual fashion, we'll install silt sock along this light green line. This is essentially the limit of our work. We're proposing that the Filtrete silt sock be used. The brown rectangle is the home. The gray, this gray area here is the driveway. The septic system is in back. It's back here. So no part of the septic system is within 100 feet. Portion of the house is, of course, and the grading associated with the house.
Do you have another copy or something?
Yeah, we got some right here.
I wish I could have just one specific question.
Sure.
So when I see it proposing, moving, last one,
Yeah, for parcel A. No, not for this one, for parcel A.
Driveway in on the other side,
saying-
where the septic is, like, on the other side.
From Nora.
Yeah, isn't that a road?
Which one was down here?
I don't know. Good question.
Which page matches, which
That's
page
what I
matches your
thought, the
page?
same thing. Why not just make it a,
Oh, I see what it is, I'm sorry.
That's P
See it. Okay, I got it.
I have a question about the driveway.
Yes.
Is there a reason why it's not exiting to Nora Lane, since that's already an established road?
Lane's a private road.
Okay.
oh,
Access granted.
you didn't have any rights to that, huh? Even though you,
I own Nora Lane.
oh, you own Nora Lane?
There's a sign on the telephone pole that says it's private way.
But you didn't want it to exit onto Nora Lane?
There was no benefit to anybody to have it there.
Okay.
Road- Nora Lane was granted an exception when it was built from the original design to be less than accepted by, to be accepted by the town. It's already starting to degrade. You know, the three owners of the houses there are gonna have to front the repairs for the road.
Okay.
They have that piece of property coming off Seven Star Road, I think it's about 50 feet wide,
Yep.
and it hooks up in there.
Right, so my concern for my neighbor is that piece of Seven Star Road gets very wet. I mean, we've had ducks in
Right,
there,
right.
it rains.
Well, that's parcel A though.
Yeah, so I believe.
We came out for that one,
Yeah,
parcel
so
A.
Yes.
part of the, if I remember correctly, part of the issuing the order of conditions was to resolve that drainage issue over here. So we've, my office has attempted to prepare the engineering, but just for the record, that has, it doesn't have anything to do with this, but to answer your question, we did attempt to design a culvert and put it under Seven Star. The problem was we couldn't get enough cover over the culvert to protect it from vehicle traffic. So what I have is a revised plan for that parcel, where we're managing the stormwater on site, and we're moving it back to the wetlands in the back.
George Berry Hill Road and Center Street.
I honestly don't know where that is in relationship to
Yeah, if it's in
here,
the
but
back of the
it's
parcel,
going
it'd be
that way, towards
back
that.
towards Berry Hill.
So the stormwater's being moved away towards the wetlands,
So there should be no further impact to Seven Star Road then?
Correct. So the driveway will still go there, just the water will drain the other direction.
So what we've done, the grading scheme identifies a method of channeling stormwater through just a very shallow like swale. And it moves it away towards the house and then turns and then into the trees or towards the wetlands. So you can see it here if you like, I have it.
Which property are you?
I'm at 116
So are you Belanger or Braun?
on Lapin.
Are you over here?
I'm on the other side of the street.
You're over,
So, yeah,
parcel A is up here.
Yeah, so I'm up, I guess I'm on parcel A.
Okay,
No.
okay, I just wanna know where you're.
Right.
That was on that hill.
I don't know
No,
which
this
parcel,
was,
which I came tonight, 'cause
it was a big wide open field,
is
and it
coming
was
up
really
to,
cold, and the
right
scientist
that
was doing this.
Oh, that's
We
right.
were there
Okay,
last year,
that's
they were
right.
talking about doing the culverts.
Yeah, she was telling us all about
It's a
Gray
very
Birch
bad idea
and
for those of us on
Yeah.
the
things
other
like
side
that,
of the
okay.
street.
And it wasn't wetland, and then she showed us
Never-
where it was.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Next to Cranes there, and it's right
I got a
there.
question.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
why couldn't the house go back, guys? Guys? All right, we'll listen to you. I just want us to have one conversation. Go ahead. You guys good?
No, he was, that was back on parcel A, cause you're not doing the culvert anymore. On parcel A, you're gonna manage the stormwater backwards.
Yes,
Right.
And you're gonna try and do the same thing here with this driveway and everything.
correct. Yes.
So the house, why couldn't the house move more backwards away from the wetland?
Well, we have our successful test holes here and here with the perk test.
Yeah,
And test holes here and here. So we have a primary SAS system here,
yeah.
which is already right at the edge of the two test holes. And our reserve
Why didn't you do a
system here.
test hole though farther back is the question.
Well, we did. We had 14-4. I honestly don't know what the results of that test hole was. I didn't design the SAS system.
I mean, at a high level, here's my, I mean, I understand, this is awfully close here, right, 25 feet, and I understand you didn't really have any choice about it, right? The property lines are there, and if you want to come in, that's the only place you can go.
Correct.
So, my take is, given that you had to get so close, right, and take that wetland area that close, it would be best, in my opinion, if we reduced, if we could, if there was other places that you had the option not to be close to the wetland, to take advantage of those options, right? So if this could have come back a little bit more, that would have made me feel better about, look, you couldn't do anything about this. It is what it is. But over here, I think you could have.
Well, I can answer that. We did attempt to put the house here.
Not the whole house there, I'm just saying back maybe 20 feet or something.
Well, that will definitely impact this testing. That will put the house in the testing. We'll have to go back and do additional testing, redesign the septic system. Septic's already designed, it's already into the Board of Health. My suspicion, and I don't have the test logs with me, when we investigated putting the house here, the groundwater here was too high to resolve the grading around the home and keep it on the lot, within the limits of the parcel.
So you also, the septic also has to be 100 feet from either well, and if you see the big circles there,
Correct.
Carl,
Yeah.
their only choice for septic location is somewhere outside of those 100 circles, those 100-foot circles.
No, I get that. I guess I was just wishing if it was, the whole thing was set back 20 more feet so that you weren't right up against the 70 feet.
No, I know, I hear you, like, you look at that, I don't know what the test wells, or test pits were like, but it looks like the whole thing can move back
It does
20,
look like
30
it can.
feet. And still be out of that 100-foot.
Well, we can investigate our test results. We'll have to reissue, if that's what we want to do, we'll have to reissue to the Board of Health with the new septic design. With the house moved, the septic system moved. That may require additional testing, which is engineer's fees for the day, backhoe's fees for the day, Board of Health agent's fees for the day.
What is, this is walls?
It's a pair of retaining walls. That's to keep the grading outside of close to the house as we could.
Right, see, I mean, again, going right up against the 25 there. I guess my take on this is, you know, working with you on this, right? There's no way to get around getting to the 25 foot in the driveway. It is what it is. Given that, I would like to see you, for the rest of it, make sure that you're pushing it as far away from the wetland as you could, so you weren't bumping against the 25 for all the rest of this, which I don't think you need to.
Okay, well, we'll revisit the test logs and see how far we can shove this stuff back, but without doing any additional testing.
Fair enough.
So we'll push it back as far as we can. It will require redesign and a resubmittal to the Board of Health. You know, it's gonna be engineering costs that
If you could get 20 feet out of that, I think that would be great.
we'll do our best to get as close to 20 as we can.
I don't know what you guys' feelings on that.
What do other members think?
What if we could, if I could make a suggestion, what if we could, I think what you're looking at is this grading scenario right here. What if we could eliminate, well, or potentially eliminate most of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Is that
looking at the
beneficial?
fact that you're sitting on the 25-foot line for the majority of this entire construction thing.
Where is that?
Well, the 25
See?
is that.
Yeah,
But
But-
see, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
yeah.
And it doesn't need to be that close.
So you're saying the whole thing could actually be pushed back?
Correct.
You know, if they were able to push
If
it
you're
back.
able to, I just want you to try, that's what I'm saying.
But so the easiest thing to do for me, without trying to push it back, would really be to try to eliminate some of this work by
Okay.
potentially putting in maybe a taller retaining wall. That would eliminate some of this grading and
Mhm.
pull the tree line up to the retaining wall. Is that
Yes.
acceptable?
That's better, yep.
Okay. All right, so I will attempt that first.
Yeah, so we're not gonna tell you how to do it,
Of course
but
not.
what we want is less impact. Since it's a new house, it's a large lot. Can you get, you know, as far away from that and disturb as little as possible
Sure.
of the buffer zone?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we will take that approach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a reason on the radius of the driveway why you had to stay 10 feet away from the corner of the other lot?
Other than for construction purposes, no. You know, there's a, it could be a little bit closer, I suppose. There is like a swale that makes its way down here that we ended up with a little basin right there. So I needed the room for this little basin in order to collect the stormwater, prevent it from ponding here, and get it underneath the driveway.
So you're gonna put a pipe underneath the driveway?
Yeah.
How big a pipe?
It is a 12-inch PVC pipe.
Where is that?
It's probably easier to see though.
Yeah, I don't see, I think I'm looking
You
at the
wanna
same
go
map.
out and look at it?
Definitely easier to see over this
I'd like to get his modified proposal and then maybe go look at it.
Something else.
Yeah, but that's gonna extend it out to September then.
In any event, so you can, if you follow the topography, you can see
Yep.
there's like a swale going.
I mean, we can go
right,
look
so
at it,
the
there's no harm in
construction
that, it's
driveway
just,
would actually cause ponding.
we're gonna get there, we're gonna go, wow, that's really close to the
No,
wetlands.
but we could schedule a visit,
And there's a
we
12
could schedule a visit
just to the
the
edge of
Saturday before in July and see if, by then, hopefully, knows what he's
Yeah,
coming
so-
forward
So
to.
we should schedule it, but I think it's in the best interest if you can have your betterment, if you will, here to us before
Or at the
while we
site
go to that visit.
visit, yeah.
Okay. When do you expect the site visit?
Whatever the Saturday before that is, let's see. July. July 13th is our meeting, so we could do July 9th. Saturday, July 9th.
I'm gonna be in Alaska, so I'm.
Well, you're not gonna be there then, John.
You'll have to fly back.
July 9th, okay for
Try
you?
not to do that.
July 9th, you plan on being away, Tom?
Not that I know right this second.
No, as long as like 3 of us are there, that makes it worthwhile in going to see it.
What time?
Probably like 9 o'clock or something like that. Would that be acceptable? July 9th at 9 AM?
Yes, yep, whatever you want.
All right. So, site visit, July 9th at 9 AM. Hopefully you'll have your plans and revisions ready to explain to us. And we'll vote to continue the hearing to July 13th.
Sounds good.
Is that acceptable to everybody?
Is there a separate hearing for the other lot?
Parcel A again? Yeah, that was already taken care of.
We're gonna talk about parcel A after we close this hearing, because we have a waiver to accept. All right, so I'll move to continue the hearing to July 13th at 7:30 PM.
Seconded.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Noes, abstain? Okay. So,
What is the
July 13th.
Excuse me.
I don't, unless I'm missing it, how wide is the driveway? Is it 20, 15 feet, 20 feet?
16 feet wide.
Does it have to be that wide?
That was a dimension on there. Could be,
I mean, I don't know from a planning board, from a fire truck access, my only intent is getting it away from that 25-foot no disturb as far as possible. That's all.
so it's
So it's
12
12.
feet
Oh,
with,
it's-
with shoulders on either
Yeah,
side,
so
so.
12 is probably like the minimum. to-
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So then the shoulders can be used if, like if 2 vehicles need to pass, 2 tires on the shoulder, either vehicle can pass. And then wide enough in case an emergency vehicle needs to use the shoulder to make the turn.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk very briefly about the parcel A. We issued an order of conditions on this December 9th of 2015, and one of the conditions, specifically D5, was due to the level of the roadway and the potential for flooding in the front of the property due to poor drainage, the applicant shall work with the Town of Groveland Highway Department to install a culvert under the road for drainage system resolution. This shall be completed before a certificate of compliance is issued. So what is suggested is that we vote to waive that condition. And I have a new set of plans that shows the drainage being sent to the back of the property rather than out to the front on 7 Star Road. So this should address that and also get rid of that condition.
Is it changing the natural flow of the water?
No, it moves this way towards the wetlands anyway. The wetlands are at about 88, and the road is at approximately, at the high point right here, it's actually at almost 102. So the natural flow path is this way.
Okay.
Anyway. You know, I don't know when 7 Star was constructed, but the elevation on either side appears to be the same. It's almost as if 7 Star were filled and then constructed. So but I think sometime in history, the watershed probably could have gone either way, which is what explains the flooding problem. You know, the runoff can't, it kind of pools in here, can't go that way.
Right, never crosses Seven Star.
Yeah.
There's a, basically, most of the time an empty pool, but every once in a while it does.
Okay.
So we've taken that bowl right here and regraded it to get the stormwater, to kind of move back and then along the property line and back to where it belongs. And again, we tried to engineer a culvert under the road, and unfortunately, given the elevations and where the pipe needed to be to collect the stormwater, to get it to the other side.
Not unfortunate at all, that's right.
Yeah, we couldn't get the cover over the pipe.
Okay, that's fine. So is the driveway still right to Seven Star Road?
On A? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're voting, Mike, on changing the condition about the culvert to remove that and instead change it to do the appropriate grading to.
No, we're not gonna change it because we'll just eliminate that condition, because normally we wouldn't put that kind of condition in there. It's dealt with in the plan, so what we'll do is, what I would suggest we do is I'll issue a letter to the applicant stating that that condition is waived and we're in receipt of a new set of plans dated such and such, and understand that the drainage has been addressed on those plans. Does that sound okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to make sure we know exactly what we're voting for.
Yep, no. So I'll make a motion that we waive condition D5 of the Groveland permit for 121 Seven Star Road, issued December 9th, 2015, eliminating D5, and issue a follow-up letter to the applicant referencing the new plan.
Seconded, I guess.
Yeah, second. Any other questions on that then? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay, unanimous. All right, so we'll get you a letter, you know, saying that stuff. And you can have your clip back too.
Oh, yeah? You don't want that one?
No, it's too big.
Is there a planned construction start date?
I'm not sure. I don't know. We do the engineering.
All right. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna try to quickly buzz through some things, because I want to talk to you a little bit more in depth about a problem, but, and I'm gonna skip a few things. Did everyone read the minutes for May 11th? Are we all set to approve those?
I didn't read it.
All right, so you take a look at those.
Okay.
We gotta make the rounds here, and then we'll send it back to you.
All right, while we're doing that, I want to tell you about 39 Rollins Street. Okay, 39 Rollins Street is kind of an interesting lot.
Can you give me some landmarks?
Well, I'll pass you down the map.
Okay.
It's the second to last house on the right before the intersection with Center Street.
Okay.
And it abuts a wetland on the next door neighbor's property. It's kind of an isolated wetland, but it's kind of large. And so in the backyard, the drainage seems to be very poor. A person just bought the house and is asking our advice if he can either repair or put a French drain in to relieve the pooling of water in his backyard. Kind of comes down a hill in the backyard, and it kind of, there's a low spot, and it kind of collects there.
Where's the wetland?
The wetland's right over here, and those are the 100-foot setbacks. The place where the problem is, like, right over there. So, he spoke to his neighbor whose property the wetland is on, and they believe that there is indeed a pipe or French drain from his backyard that empties the water from the runoff down the hill into the wetlands. So, the question is, you know, is it old and just clogged up on the wetland side, or is it clogged up on the intake side? He's not sure. So, I said that I would speak with us tonight, just bring it up and see what we want him to do. So what I'm thinking is that we should have him file a GRDA, and, you know, I'll go there and spray paint a line of 75 feet from the edge of the wetlands, and then they can do their investigation using some shovels and try to see what's there. You know, if he's really lucky, there's already a drain there and it just has to be repaired. Or if not, and he's gonna have to actually put one in, then he's gonna have to probably come back and file at least for a GNOI with us. And we
What-
could
what is
have
he
that
gonna-
hearing in
What is he
July.
gonna do with shovels?
He's gonna try to see, is there a pipe there or not, by digging up his yard. We don't want him bringing a backhoe in there, in other words.
So what you're suggesting is you're gonna mark 75 foot and say, hey, you can have added up to the 75 foot
Yeah,
line?
basically, right.
We may want to restrict that a little more.
Well, I mean, there's not too much damage he can do as long as
With a
he's not
shovel?
having a
You
backhoe
never
in
know,
there.
depending on who you're talking to.
Well,
If it's a French drain that's already in existence, wouldn't there be a permit pulled on that?
no, not
No.
necessarily.
Okay.
There's a swimming pool in the backyard that there's no permit for either.
Marvelous.
So, yeah, take a look at this if you want. So we're ready to vote on those. So that's what I'm suggesting, but, you know,
So, the problem is the backyard was flooding, or the neighbor's backyard is flooding?
no, his backyard is flooding.
39 Rollins. So, the thing has the rectangle around it is 39 Rollins?
Yeah.
So that's the one they put the addition on a couple of years ago?
Yes. Yeah, they put an addition on that side of the house.
No, well, no, this is.
The original
Center is here.
house, the original house is here. Yeah, center is up here. That's the original house. They added this addition.
No, the other way around.
No, that's the original house.
I would question that, because that's the one, because I went out there on a site visit, and the wetlands are like 10 feet away.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, so this guy is flooding.
Well, right, his backyard, there's a place where right in here, this is a hill that comes down.
Right, yeah.
Then it levels out.
That's
Right
what I'm-
about where it levels out is where it all floods. But it seems like there could be an underground pipe that goes right here and empties into the wetland. These people that own this think that's the case. So we're gonna allow him to kind of investigate it under a GRDA permit. And then if he has to do more than just clean it out, then he's gonna have to, you know, file at least for a GNOI.
All right, so you're saying let him poke around past the 75 foot mark?
Yeah.
So
He's
in
got a
poking ar-
backyard, it's a lawn, basically.
So in poking around, he
Yep.
might just throw in a new pipe and call it a day?
No, we can't, you only.
He can't
You can't
because-
touch past the 75 foot line, so
Oh, right, right, right.
hypothetically, that isn't gonna get him anywhere.
He's trying to find the end.
Yeah, he's trying to find, is there indeed something there, you know? Because, I mean, it'd be a different story if it was somebody you knew, had done the work, but this guy just bought the house, you know, so,
I gotta tell you, trying to find a pipe that's buried underground, not so easy.
oh, I know, yeah.
What you want is you wanna call the, now we're on TV, call the water department, they'll come out with their little divining line, and that's your best shot at it.
Well, unless, but you know, they could, assuming that they did this right, they laid gravel down and some kind of thing, but, you know.
No.
No, identifying, it's gonna be a pain. He'd have to dig all the way along to see if you hit gravel, because there's.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, as long as he puts it back in your thing, if he stays out of the 75 foot and
Yeah.
make sure that he doesn't, you know, dig a pond.
Yeah,
at the 75
no,
foot and
obviously.
leave it that way.
He
right?
doesn't want to do that, believe me. All right, so I'll make a motion that we allow work at 75 feet or greater from the wetland to be marked at 39 Rollins for investigation of a French drain.
With all dirt to be put back where
Yeah.
it came from.
I will second that.
That's by hand digging, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, abstain, unanimous, all right. All right, so the minutes, let's see,
It's okay, I can just abstain.
how come this got circled, GRDA?
I think I did it by accident.
Oh, okay, so no changes?
No changes.
Somebody want to make a motion on this?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as sent out from May, what was the date?
May 11th.
May 11th. As written.
With my doodle redacted.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Unanimous.
No, abstain.
Opposed.
I didn't
No,
get a chance to
oh,
read it.
oh, you didn't get to read it?
No, it's a fine, just put abstain.
One abstention. Okay, sorry about that. Starting to get bug-eyed here. 6:50, 16, okay. All right, minutes approved. Water Department, gravel, no enforcement issues, next. Okay, just a note, so our next meeting will be on July 13th. And, let's see. Yeah, all right. We have a problem. And it's related to the grills. I was at the selectmen's meeting on Monday night, and I would recommend that you go home and watch it at your leisure, because I frankly think it's outrageous. And I didn't realize that it was even on the agenda. I just happened to be there, sitting through the meeting, and this came up. So they're making their annual appointments, and John and Carl are up for renewal on a 3-year appointment. And one of the selectmen says that he doesn't want to vote on it, to have you two be renominated for the position unless the Conservation Commission votes to put the grills back.
He actually said that?
Yep, he did.
Absolutely not.
I know, but this is
I
what he
told you
said.
he did that the first time,
Yeah,
the one that you
Yeah.
were at.
yeah.
Did you guys watch that
I
one?
am perfectly fine to not be blackmailed. If
Exactly.
he does not, if they want to not have my reinstatement because they want to try to blackmail a commissioner on TV, I'm happy
We'll
to
all
not
resign.
continue. We should all resign.
Yeah.
Well, I told them, you know, I want to watch it again, and, you know, but that's basically what he said. He may have said that unless, it wasn't really clear, but he was upset enough that I couldn't really tell if he said unless we vote to put them back or unless we just take a vote, because he was convinced that we've never voted on this. And we have, you know,
They
I
just don't come to
researched
the
this.
meeting.
Yeah, in March, we voted not to put them back. We voted instead to remove another picnic table from the place. So we did already, and I explained that we already took the vote. And I also explained that, you know, if the whole commission decided to quit, then the whole, our job falls in their lap, and they were, oh, well, we're gonna get some sportsmen on the board so that they'll vote the way that the selectmen believe, or at least some of the selectmen believe. So watch it, because it's outrageous. It's really outrageous.
It's getting worse.
The meeting that we voted on, unfortunately, was not publicized, because there was
Yes,
no camera
but-
there. But we do have the
Minutes.
minutes from the
Right.
meeting that we
Right.
can certainly forward to them, which shows the lengthy discussion that we had concerning the various
Right.
options.
That's a
But
great
see,
idea.
I don't think they care, or at least, again, certain parties on there do not care. All they care about is that we haven't voted to put them back. That's why I say, that's the bottom
That's a
line.
personal agenda.
Yes.
Based on, and granted, we're gonna have the meeting in July, but based on the residents who showed up and voiced their opinion, there were more residents who have concerns about this, not just the grills at the site, but have concerns that the site even allows visitors to be there.
Yes.
Right, and only the one resident is going to the selectmen meeting.
Right, so I mean, you know, I'm gonna have an open eye in July, but I mean, I'm gonna certainly take in what all the residents are saying, and
Yes.
I
Well,
don't-
the other problem is, in reviewing what's gone on over the past few months, this isn't the only thing. They've been giving me real pushback on the conservation restriction that's gonna be placed on the Mattingly and Angelini properties. Again, because they feel that we're being too restrictive, and why would we want to put a conservation restriction on property, giving conservation more control of more land? So that's the first thing. And then the other night, when I brought forward our plan to hire someone using money from our fees, it isn't gonna cost the town of Groveland anything, it was brought up that they wanna look at our fees. They wanna look at and review our whole fee schedule. So you know where that's going.
Are they reviewing other boards' fee schedules?
They have, but they set those fees. They don't, as far as the bylaw says, we set our fees. They don't set our fees.
So they can suggest the change to our bylaws?
Yes,
and
they
we can take a
could, or
vote
they
on it?
could, you know, disagree with our fees or whatever. But again, it's another thing to make us change our
I
minds.
feel like it started with the proposal that you presented for VC Park.
Oh, yes, right.
That was blatant. He's like, I'm not gonna vote for this unless you put the grills back in.
What is up with this grill thing?
I don't know. I'm telling you, the residents that are in favor of the grills, they go to the meetings and they bring up the same information.
Well, I'll watch this, I'll watch the.
Watch the past couple.
I'll watch the.
And you
the
can
me-
almost
the
fast
meeting on
forward
the
to
TV.
Mike.
Yeah,
But
right.
As soon as you see Mike,
I certainly
play it.
hope that that was a misinterpretation, Mike, right? Because if it's not, I think we
don't
have a
believe it
bigger
was.
problem here in this town.
Yes, well, so the question is, what are we gonna do about this? Because I'm under the impression that we're not being given too much time to change our mind. You know, whether or not we're gonna be allowed to even continue to July, when they've been told that we are gonna have a public hearing on it. I'm not under the impression that we're gonna get that much time. Obviously, they want to review our fees at the next
When is-
meeting.
when is
So
their
first of all,
reappointment?
when are we no
Right.
longer commissioners? When does that end?
End of June?
I think it's June.
June 30th.
So
Oh,
if
so
they
this
don't
could be my
re-
last meeting then.
If they don't renew you for July, then we can't hold a meeting because we only have 3 commissioners.
Yeah, Well,
That's
we've-
Terry.
So when do we know whether or not they were renewed or not?
No, it's 4.
Oh, wait.
You have to have
They're
four.
meeting again on June 27th, I think it is.
We meet every every other Monday night this
Yeah.
summer, so.
So basically, on June 27th, they have to approve us being extended, or that's it.
Yeah, I mean, unless they decide to say something like temporarily appointed or whatever.
My suggestion
Well, I'll
is,
tell you what, I'm gonna watch that meeting, and if what you said happened, I quit.
Well, see, I was afraid of
I'm
this.
gonna be
I
done.
don't want anybody to quit, because that's only gonna make
Why don't we all
whoever's
go?
left our job harder. Because then
Yeah.
it's harder to get a quorum, you know, it's just more difficult. And so, you know, I'd rather fight it.
my suggestion is if it's, talk to town council. Have town council give them an opinion as to this. If this really is what was said, that they're putting this versus that are voting on something we already voted on in the minutes, I think you need to involve town council.
Yeah, I mean,
As to the-
personally, it's questionable ethics as far as I'm concerned.
Right, that's why I'm involved. I mean, you could be sanctioned for something like that. Is it,
The trouble is, I can't talk to town council without approval of the selectmen.
Well,
So, that
Maybe
won't
there's
really get
somebody
us
out there that
anywhere.
would volunteer their time.
I think it's worth bringing
I
up
volunteered my
the-
time 10 years for this town, and if a selectman actually said that, shame on the selectman in this town, that's all I can say.
Wouldn't be the first time.
well, besides all this and the ethical issues, I think we're mixing up, or not, maybe not us, but people are mixing up whether there's a grill or there's a not grill versus the overall use of that property.
Absolutely.
And there's, in my mind, whether there's a grill there or not a grill, there's still an issue with the use of the property and the fact that people are abusing it, and that we haven't yet found a successful method of managing the number of people and their behavior there, whether it's building a fire or trash, or parking on the side of the road, or trying to launch boats off of trailers. We haven't figured out a method.
I think we did, we just haven't implemented it. I
Well,
mean, we
well,
voted on
that's-
a method of,
Right,
of
to
doing it, but
reduce-
we've never done anything with
Right.
it. I mean, the whole idea of taking away one of the tables and putting in a bench, and then, you know, asking the police for more constant enforcement of that area, and, you know, maybe having one garbage can opposed to two, and putting more rocks along there to stop more
Yeah.
cars, and we voted on that. That was everything that we were all set to do,
Right.
but no one's tried it yet.
Well, we haven't done it because of the, you know, the pushback that I was getting.
So my point is, we may decide in July we're gonna decide some things, we may decide to implement it, and then, at least in my mind, I'm sort of I wanna see, is that successful or not? If it's not successful, then we have to figure something else out. But, I mean, if I had the perfect solution right now, I would suggest the perfect solution. I don't have it.
Right.
And so I'm a little bit, I think that the whole grill thing has taken on a life of its own, which is totally, it's part of that, but there's so
Yeah,
much
it's
more
certainly
going on
not-
than just using a grill.
It's not the main issue. Really, the main issue is the public use of that whole area seems to be causing too many problems, you know? And you can say, well, there's more visibility there, there's more eyes by having a picnic table, but it doesn't really matter. You know, the problem is still there. And I think any conservation commission would seriously look at taking that area out of there, especially if they had another place to put it on the other side of the pond, which we do, you know, moving it over there and just putting that back to being a normal place where people can go, but it's not like we're encouraging people to go there. Right?
Don earlier made a statement regarding this, saying that about our ability to limit it to town residents only. I didn't think that was correct.
What, that we could do that?
Yes.
No,
How
we
would you
could do
enforce
it.
that?
I don't know how you would enforce it, but you could do it. You could put a sign up that
Just
said,
like the permits, I mean, how are you enforcing
Yeah.
it? It's
Right, I
really,
think that part's completely unenforceable.
Yeah, I
That's
know, go
another-
down there and check IDs, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Well, if they're, so it's a data point of one, but if they're not having them move the cars that are parked on the road, even though
Right.
there's a sign, I doubt they're gonna have somebody whip out their ID.
right, New Hampshire license plates, they're not doing anything about it.
Right. I mean, it's not the police fault, the police are doing as good a job as you could ever expect, you know?
No, but what I'm going with that is, people have suggested make it residents only, but I think it's clear that wouldn't work because it wouldn't be enforced, so it's not gonna solve the problem of having too many people there doing destructive behavior.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I guess my thought was that we should just do
I believe
two
we should
things, is
attend the
move
meeting.
forward with our plan, which is to have the hearing in July, and whatever we're gonna do regardless, make our decisions based on facts rather than on sentiments. And as far as the appointments and all the other things that we're up against it on, maybe do some investigative work on what options we have, that other commissions that have run into this thing. It's not, it's not an uncommon thing that commissions get scolded for not doing things a certain way. So I can get in touch with MACC and see what they say about it.
So you want me to not resign yet?
Yeah, please don't resign.
Okay, I'll wait.
I mean, let them vote not to reappoint you, and then,
Well, I'm actually not okay with that. If in fact, that blackmail was made, and I'll review the tape carefully, I'm not okay with not being reinstated. I want to quit,
yeah.
because that's ridiculous and unethical behavior of our selectmen, if that's the case.
The other thing I think we should do is, I think we should talk to the individual selectmen, because, each individual one, because I'm not convinced a majority feels this way. I would say there's at least two that do, but
The new one.
maybe
is
not
on.
5. And so if we could convince 3 of them to vote against it in a point, then,
I don't think we should have to convince them.
oh,
It should,
yeah, no, I agree with you, but
when's their next meeting? It's next Monday?
27th.
I'm with Heather, they should vote how they feel they should vote, and then we see what happens on the 27th.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have a specific, technical, ethical behavior, reason, or whatever, why they feel one of us who's up for reappointment is not, shouldn't be reappointed because of some issue like that, then that's up to them if they don't want to reappoint.
I would presume that we're not the only two that are up for reappointment at this meeting, and that there's other boards that have the same issue. So if they make it a point of singling out the two of us regarding,
Yeah, I mean, they're all on the website.
right.
You can look at it.
And of course, the ridiculousness is if they have no idea how we might even vote.
Yeah, you could vote for it.
I could be totally for this, and they would be letting go the people who actually want it.
That's
Right.
true.
Yep,
Which is, the ridiculousness of it.
that's true, that's true.
You're kind of a wild card.
But,
With all your abstentions.
Personally, I think we've told everybody it's the July 13th
Yep.
meeting.
yeah,
Clearly, the people who are most interested understand that we should do nothing until then, and at the meeting, we'll discuss again if we decide to vote on something. If someone makes a motion and it's seconded, then we need to vote on it. If no one makes a motion, then
Wait, this is over before that meeting, so if
Correct.
there's anything that we want to do, right, if what Mike is saying is true, the only other option is for all of us to show up at the selectmen meeting. Right, that's the only other option. Otherwise, I'm just going to resign, out of protest. If we all wanted to go to the selectmen meeting and be there.
We should.
If in, I'm not against that, you should always, you know,
Bring friends and relatives.
Are you here?
I'll be
I
here
am,
for sign-offs.
Okay, good.
Yeah, if like you bring your neighbors who think you're a good guy or something.
Make sure Terry's here. That's your job.
so how do I, remove myself for the reelection? Do I have to write a resignation or something to the?
Yeah, you'd have to give them a letter of resignation
Okay,
if you don't want to be reappointed, or you want to resign.
right, okay, got it.
I mean, like I say, I'm very disturbed by this because this puts everything that we're doing in jeopardy, you know, and there's things that are bigger than us that are, you know, like this CR. It's like not to our advantage. What advantage do we have? You know, we get more work to do because I spent a whole day with Essex County Greenbelt out walking and reviewing the site, a whole day of my time. What did I get out of that by putting the CR on that property? You know, it's just things like that, things that have to be done, that it's not to our advantage to do them. We're doing our jobs. Tonight, we're here, you know, for hours, listening to all kinds of things, you know? It's like, I don't understand. I don't understand it because, you know, you don't vote one certain way about one thing that somebody disagrees with. You know, that would be comparable to like somebody coming in and they got a garage denied, and then they called up their favorite selectman and had the selectman not reappoint you because you voted against the guy's garage or something. But that's basically what it is. I don't know. I don't think it's incomprehensible to me. All right, so we'll move forward. And as I say, you know, go home and look at that. Hopefully you can come on June 27th. I'll try to find out from the finance director to make sure exactly I know what it is they're proposing to do, and, you know, so we don't waste more time coming to a meeting that it isn't discussed at or something.
Don't they have to post the agenda?
Yeah, the Thursday before. It's online.
It should be pointed out to the selectmen that this is on the agenda for approval at our July meeting.
Yeah, I
And
told
so-
them that.
So
Yeah.
if they're worried about it, their June meeting is gonna.
Yeah, but still, I
either
mean,
make it a moot point, or is it?
what is it gonna be? It's like they're gonna be here monitoring your votes, you know, and say, geez, you know, three of them said
It'll
yes.
be too late. We're either appointed or not appointed by the time the
Right.
meeting comes, so.
Right, well, we could all resign, and then on
Right.
July 13th, they can have the hearing and do whatever they damn well please. Right?
Yeah.
But this really did happen, huh?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
I told you guys last time.
Yeah, no, I know, you're right.
Well, you know what, I want my Mondays and weekends back anyway.
Yeah, I know, that's the same thing with me. I'm tired of doing day-long site visits. All right, I think that's all I have to talk about tonight.
Okay.
So I have a question, because I was here for the meeting on the conservation restriction. They asked once again for town council to review the words
Yes,
that had been gone back and forth.
yes.
Correct.
So is that settled,
Nope,
and why? What's
it's
the
still
sign-
with town council. I'm expecting, hopefully it will be back by June 27th.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, so that was the
You said
update on that.
The gravel permit was reissued?
Yes. That was good because it didn't get associated with us. So that was a water department thing, which even though it was associated with us, they didn't take it out on them. They approved that, so that was a good thing. And I think that's about it. So, somebody want to make a motion to close us out?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
That was fast.
Well, I was
I'm
gonna
not
ask
gonna
Mike,
sign
is-
up for
is
any
there
more
anything
Mondays,
else, or can I
guys.
make a motion?